The Miami Dolphins have officially fired one of the doctors that cleared Tua to continue playing. If not, I want to say it was the Sunday game against the Bills when he
Yeah.
suffered his first concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Honestly, I feel like they did that to save themselves because I really don't just see a doctor clearing someone to do something unless they're persuaded. Like, hey, this is a tight game. We 2-0. We gotta win this. Seedings, things like that. I just don't see a doctor doing that unless I ain't gonna say it was bribed, but think somebody put a bug in his ear. Hey, go ahead, clear him. We'll worry about this when the season over, and then my man take another slam, and you know, then he all messed up on Thursday night in front of the world. So it sparked conversation, but I think it's a cover up. I think this is gonna go deeper than what it is right now, and I think that doctor, should take the proper, legal precautions if he was persuaded to not list him as a concussion. Because at that point, if you do, he's out for that game. Then you got to go through protocol. You know, telling how long that take. Hell, Hunter Renfro ain't played the last two games after he suffered his concussion against the Cardinals. So and that's a receiver, a quarterback. You got to take a lot more time with them because they got to know everybody's position and things like that. So, what's your take on it, John?
I agree and disagree, right? There's like you said, right? There's a cover up. There's always one person who just gets blamed, like, it was this guy, right? Chernobyl happens, hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know how many, but you know what I mean. A lot of people get sick, and they're like, this one guy pulled the wrong lever. It's like, really? You don't think there was maybe some other things that might have gone that led to whatever? It's the same thing, right? Everything. There's multiple people involved. So I will say I will defend Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, the head coach, doesn't make that decision whether the guy plays or not. But also, the neurologist doesn't make that decision. The neurologist, all he says is concussion or not concussion. Like he can say, "Listen, I don't think he has a concussion, but I also don't think he should play." Right? But
But
he
that's
doesn't
what
have
I'm
that.
saying.
But he
But
doesn't have
I,
that decision.
But to my point, like I said, I don't see a doctor signing off on this, and you clearly see my man is concussed, or
Yeah, but I
he,
mean, if he wasn't
My,
clearly concussed, I can see him signing off on saying he's not clearly concussed. But when it comes to whether he plays or not, he has no say in that. So I think he could have easily said he's
I
not
do.
concussed.
I
I
feel
just
like
think they should have had a second opinion. That's my point.
I do feel like the coach do have some type of say so, especially me being a head coach. I'm just saying, like, if I'm a head coach and I see my players stumbling on the field or whatever, I'm gonna make that call to pull them, regardless of what the doctor say. I mean, me just thinking off top, okay, I'm like, okay, that's some type of head injury if he's stumbling like that. I do feel like the head coach could and should make that call though. I mean, that's just me personally because you're
What do you
around
mean?
that player all the time, so you should know how he is and how he plays. And if you see him, like I said, stumbling on the field, you got to know something's wrong, regardless.
But the coach doesn't have that. Like, and some coaches don't. No coaches have that. No coaches get the decision whether they play or not. But some coaches have the pull where they can say, your Belichick's, your Tomlins, your whatever, your Andy Reid's, right? They can say, hey, you know what? I know I can't say he has to play, but you got to put my guy in the game, right? And they might be able to get away with it. I'm not saying they would. This is not a saying they would thing, but I'm just saying Mike McDaniel doesn't make that decision, and he doesn't have that kind of pull. So there's no chance this falls back on Mike McDaniel for me. So I mean, he's a first-year coach. Like this dude is not trying to screw it up for a game three. I'm sorry, I
I'm
just
not
don't
saying
believe
it's
that.
gonna fall back on. All I'm just saying is I feel like he could have
Now
possibly did more.
he can say he doesn't play, but I'm just saying I don't think there was any chance where Mike McDaniel said, "No, I need my guy." Now we can sit here and say, yeah, he probably should have said, you know what, I didn't like what I saw. I'm not going to play him. He does have that decision to make, but I don't think Mike McDaniel stuck his neck out to try to risk Tua's. I just don't believe he'd do that in Game 3. That's a personal opinion, but also he just doesn't have that kind of pull anyways. So I think this falls more on the GM and stuff. And I agree with to Nico's point. Like I said, yeah, I think there's a little bit of a cover up. I mean, it's just on the
It's a
GM
fall
part.
guy in all situations. There's somebody. Hey, it was his
Somebody
fault.
just
He did it. Let's move forward. But like to Walt's point though, Mike McDaniel's had to do, had something to do with it. Because if you think about it, who's the only person they asked about injuries in post game or pre game before the game, or the weekly
head
uh,
coach.
media, media pickup, whatever. It's the coach. So I think, like I say, I can't see a doctor signing off on he is not concussed unless somebody put a bug in his ear, gave him some money. I don't know. Let's be honest. Miami was just in the news for the Brian Flores thing. Hey, we'll pay you to lose games. Who's to say they ain't paying neurologists? Hey, don't say he got a concussion. We'll handle that after the game.
That's a good point.
And let's be honest.
No, that's what I'm saying, right? All that, but I can't see how that ties to Mike. I will, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I kind of wish they would have had that doctor check him again and see if he cleared him for this week. Because if he cleared him for this week, I'd be like, yeah, this dude shouldn't be anywhere near.
Well, no, you can't. Hell no, you ain't gonna clear him for this week after that hit he took.
I'm just saying, if that doctor clears him again, then we got a real issue. But I think there should have been. I think once you have something that goes, especially when the whole world, whoever's watching saw it, you have to be like, you know what, let's get a second opinion. Let's get a third opinion. Because what we saw, there's an eye test that, sure, I know you're telling me these things, everything lines up, but and the NFL even came out and said that according to what they've seen, he didn't have a concussion. So I don't know what the NFL, but the Players Association is the one who let this guy go because he didn't represent the NFL. He represented the Players Association. And I think the Dolphins trainer also cleared him. So I think they should have had I guess 2 opinions. At some point, what do you have, 7 opinions? But I mean, I don't know. I think something that crazy that we saw has to have a third opinion, I feel. But